Hello everyone, welcome to the video. In this video we're gonna learn about the basics about what is IELTS and what is TOEFL. So I hope you enjoy this video and let's begin into the video. First and foremost, what are they? So TOEFL stands for the Taste of English as a Foreign Language. It is owned by Educational Testing Service, that is ETS, while IELTS stands for the International English Language Testing System. It is now jointly managed by British Council, IDP and Cambridge English. These are English language exams. They show how proficient you are in English. So, what is the need or what is the purpose of these exams? See, to take admission in universities abroad in the country that are English speaking countries. The students from non-English speaking countries need to prove that they can study a program where the medium of instruction is English. To prove that you can understand, you can study, and you can communicate in English with required proficiency. To prove this, the metric used is the International English Language Exam Score. Traditionally, IELTS and TOEFL are the common choices, but recently PTE and Duolingo are also gaining popularity for this purpose. So, the most important thing, examination fees. So the price for both TOEFL and IELTS, the registration fee or the examination fee you can call, in India it is around 17,000 Indian rupees including the taxes. TOEFL might be like 16,900 and IELTS must be 16,999 as of March 2024 when this video was recorded. So the registration process for TOEFL, you can register from the ETS website. You need to register for an account on ETS. Once logged into that account, you can schedule your TOEFL. In India, generally, TOEFL slots need to be booked 3 months in advance, because if you are booking today, most likely exam slots for the next 2 months are all booked and none will be available for you to book in the coming 20 to 30 days. Thus, if you're planning to take TOEFL, you should know and plan to book early. For IELTS, you can register in India from IELTS IDP website. Again, you need to register for an account on IELTS IDP website. Once logged into that account, you can schedule your IELTS. Unlike TOEFL, you usually do not need to register 3 months in advance. You can easily get slots in the instant same month. But remember, in IELTS, listening, reading and writing, that is LRW test, is separate from the speaking test. When you register for IELTS, you are registering for LRW test. Speaking test you can schedule only 12 to 10 days before your scheduled LRW test. You may visit your website within this time frame to choose your preferred speaking test slot. The speaking test slot selection will be on the first come first service basis. Please note that the speaking test will only be conducted within 7 days before or after the listening, reading and writing test, and slots available to be selected will entirely depend on the availability of examiners and will be any day between 7 days before the LRW test or 7 days after the LRW test. So it's better if you can book your slot in the given time frame, that is 12 to 10 days prior to your LRW test. Now the test format. Each TOEFL and IELTS consists of 4 sections, that is listening, reading, writing and speaking. First section for TOEFL will always be reading and first section for IELTS will always be listening. Now reading section. TOEFL will have 2 tasks, that is 2 reading passages, and each passage will have 10 questions. Total time will be 35 minutes. while IELTS will have 3 tasks, that is 3 reading passages and a total of 40 questions on these passages. The total time will be 60 minutes. As for listening, TOEFL will have a total of 5 tasks. 3 of these will be lectures of 3 to 5 minutes each and 6 questions each, while the rest, that is 2, will be conversations of 3 minutes each and 5 questions each. You listen to the audio only once. You can take notes while listening to the audio. Once the recording is done playing, you can answer the questions. The time duration for listening in TOEFL is 36 minutes. In IELTS, you'll have a total of 4 tasks, that is 4 audio recordings. Each recording will have 10 questions. You'll have to answer the questions while listening to the audio. There will not be separate time frame given after the audio is done playing. Okay, you'll have to answer while you are listening to the audio. Now it's not as dreadful as it sounds. You'll have enough time to answer the questions when you are listening. Each recording will again be played only once, and the time for IELTS listening section is 30 minutes. Writing. TOEFL will have 2 tasks. In task 1, you have to read a short passage and listen to a short lecture. Then write an answer in response to the question that is asked depending on what you read and what you listen to. You'll have 20 minutes for task 1. In task 2, you need to state or support an opinion in an online classroom discussion in 10 minutes. For IELTS also there are 2 tasks, but task 1, you have to describe some visual information in your own words. That could be a graph, a table, a chart, or any kind of diagram. It can be pie chart, it can be anything, just a process. You need to write at least 150 words in about 20 minutes. In task 2, you are given a point of view or argument or a problem which you need to discuss. You need to write at least 250 words in about 40 minutes. The total time frame given for IELTS writing is 60 minutes, but it is advised by IELTS that you should give 20 minutes to task 1 and remaining 40 minutes to task 2, as task 2 will have double marks as that of the task 1. Speaking. The TOEFL speaking test is taken on computer. TOEFL has 4 tasks for speaking. First will be independent speaking task. It requires you to draw entirely on your own ideas, opinions and experiences when you respond. Task 2 to 4, that is 2, 3, 4, are integrated speaking tasks. They'll have a passage to read or an audio recording to listen, or both, a passage and a recording. Then you'll be asked questions depending on these. For each question, you'll get 15 to 30 seconds of preparation time, and your answer should be 45 to 60 seconds long. Remember, to respond, you'll need to speak into the microphone and your responses will be recorded. It should take about 16 minutes to complete the speaking section. For IELTS speaking, the test is conducted as an interview between the test taker and the examiner. Also, the speaking test is scheduled separately from the LRW test. Task 1 will have questions about yourself and a range of familiar topics such as home, family, work, studies, and interests. This part lasts between 4 to 5 minutes. Task 2, you'll be given a task card and the examiner will ask you to talk about a topic. The topic will be written on that task card. You'll have 1 minute to prepare before speaking up for 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes. The examiner will then ask 1 or 2 questions on the same topic to finish this part. In task 3, you'll be asked further questions connected to the topic in part 2. These questions will allow you to discuss more abstract ideas and issues. This part of the test lasts between 4 to 5 minutes, and the total time duration for IELTS speaking is 11 to 14 minutes. Now a few points to remember. In reading, vocabulary plays a big part in scoring for TOEFL, but in IELTS it does not have much impact. It's just reading and answering the questions for IELTS. But for TOEFL, you need to have a strong vocabulary. So, in my purely personal opinion, IELTS reading is easier than TOEFL reading since you do not have to study that often talked about 1500 words vocabulary. In listening, in TOEFL, you'll hear the recording complete and then you answer the questions. You can take notes while listening to the audio recording. But in IELTS, you have to answer the questions while listening to the audio. Speaking in TOEFL, the speaking test is conducted by the computer during the computer-based test. But in IELTS, the speaking test is conducted as an interview between the test taker and the examiner, and it is scheduled separately from the LRW test. Also, in TOEFL speaking, only one task is concerned with your opinion, and others are dependent on factual information you read in para or listen to the audio of. While in IELTS, all the tasks of speaking section are personal opinions. Since they are personal opinions and there is an actual examiner sitting next to you looking at you and you have to conjure your answers on the spot, it can get a bit daunting but nothing impossible to crack. So we need to also learn the scoring system, the way your marks are scored. In TOEFL, each section is marked in the range of 0 to 30. The total exam score is out of 120. Okay, so you can score like 100, 90, 110, anything like that. In IELTS, bands are used for scores. They range from 0 to 9 with a difference of half a point between each two. That is, scores can be like 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, etc. Remember, 9 is the highest band, there is no 10. Each section is marked on the band of 0 to 9. Similarly, the overall score of the exam is also marked on the band of 0 to 9. How to prepare? Now, I'll be making a separate video on preparation, but I'll explain the important steps in short here. First and foremost, understanding the format of exam. This is the very basic but the most important step. Whichever exam you are taking, you should know its format. Especially in exams like IELTS or TOEFL, it is the first thing expected from a test taker to know. Second, understand the band descriptors. TOEFL scoring is simple in numbers, but IELTS scoring system is in bands. So it's important to know what you should do, what your answer should be like to achieve a specific band. This info is given by band descriptors and they are available in the book or on their website. Read and understand them and then know what your answer should include to score the band you want to score and work on it. For example, lexical resources are important, then you should work on your vocabulary. Third, take a test and check your level. Once you know the basic exam format and scoring format, before you start the prep, know where you stand. For this, just take a mock test, a complete mock test consisting of all the 4 sections, and check your result. Fourth step is to find your strength and weaknesses. So, depending on your mock test experience and your result, analyze what was easy for you and what was hard for you in the exam. Analyze which questions you can answer quick and easy and which come difficult to you. What questions take how much time. Make a note of all these things and decide how much to work on each. For example, I knew I was better at listening and reading than writing or speaking, so I needed to work on writing and speaking. Fifth step is to know some good resources. Before you begin prep, research online which are good resources for prep. Do thorough research on it, because if you work with a sharp chisel, you can carve a good piece even in a few days duration. But if you are using a blunt chisel, then even if you spend months working on it, you cannot carve anything good. So good resources are very important. If you ask me, I'd say the official resources are a must. Other than that, you'll require extra resources only for practice, in my opinion. And other than this, YouTube is an ever expanding source of information. You can always find something useful there. It is especially useful for listening and speaking practices. Sixth step is the mock tests and speaking practices. The most important part of preparing for any exam is practice, and especially for tests like IELTS or TOEFL. So practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get and the better you'll score. Solve practice questions, take multiple mock tests. For speaking, try speaking the answers of your speaking questions in English with your friends or at home. You'll get used to talking. If you do not have anyone, try talking in mirror. But do not forget, only solving questions, giving answers is not important. Once you are done answering, check your answers and try to modify your answers the next time. So, and now let's talk about some substitute exam, like what are the options for TOEFL and IELTS. Traditionally, IELTS and TOEFL are the common ones, but as I said, recently PTE and Duolingo are also gaining popularity for this purpose. PTE stands for Pearson Test of English and it is conducted by Pearson. The Duolingo English test is the test curated for the same purpose by the language learning app company Duolingo, and it grew in popularity and acceptance at the universities during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, in this video, we have talked only about TOEFL and IELTS because they are still the major choices of most of the students. So I hope this video was useful, and I'm gonna make a few more videos in preparation of IELTS and also the basic things you need to know about IELTS before you register an IELTS appointment. So if you like this video, please do subscribe and good luck.